This lesson is going to have a look at the model from the book Five Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. When we are thinking about how to build a high-performing team, and we're looking at all the different components that makes up a high-performing team, a good idea is to also look at what some of those blockers can be. And that's essentially what Patrick Lencioni's model looks at. It starts to unpick what can happen in a senior leadership team or a department team so that we can start to recognize some of these things, so that we can start to put some things in place so that we can prevent them. The model starts at the bottom with the foundation of trust. And what the model tells us around the absence of trust is that if people feel fearful about being vulnerable with information, or they fear that they can't share some of their development areas, then we're going to get an absence of trust. And members of high-performing teams trust one another on an emotional level. They're comfortable with being vulnerable with each other, and they're able to share some of their weaknesses and mistakes and their fears. When you get to a point where you can be completely open with your team members without filters, you start to become a trusted team. Now, this is essential because this leads us on to fear of conflict. So trust is essential in any team relationship, because teams that trust each other are not afraid to engage in passionate dialogue around issues. They're able to disagree and challenge and question one another, but it's all in the spirit of finding the best answers and discovering the truth. Being able to talk openly about conflict is one of the key areas when we look at what makes a high-performing team. Now, this is important because teams that can engage in unfiltered conflict are then able to achieve genuine buy-in around important decisions. So this leads us on to the lack of commitment. When you have trust, and when we're able to have open and honest conversations and deal with conflict, you can then assure that all opinions and ideas are put on the table, which then gives confidence to team members that no stone has been left unturned. And this then leads to a commitment and buy-in from all team members, therefore making decisions that everybody's going to stick to. And once teams are committed to decisions and committed to standards of performance, this moves us on to accountability. So when we know that we're committed, we don't hesitate to hold each other accountable. So we want to make sure that everyone's accountable for achieving the decisions that we've made or the standards that we've set. The other interesting part here is that you don't end up relying on the leader as the primary source of accountability. The accountability can be shared across the team, and people will start to go directly to their peers. Now, this matters because teams that trust one another, they engage in conflict, they commit to decisions and hold each other accountable, are very likely to set aside their own individual needs and agendas and focus almost exclusively on what is best for the team. So this then gives us the results that we're looking for. If there's an inattention to results, people's individual goals and personal status or egos can actually get in the way of the focus on the collective success. By looking at all of these elements separately and doing a diagnostic about where you feel that your team currently are, will really help you and support you to be able to identify things that may need to be worked on so that all of these elements of the model, so trust, conflict, commitment, accountability, and results, can all work in harmony.